Welcome back to the Pursuit of Progress podcast. As always, guys, this is Adam here with my co host, Ben. We're going to be doing just a little different format today, doing a rapid fire episode for you guys. We've been getting this question from quite a few of our listeners recently, asking just about accountability and how, they're having a hard time either finding accountability partners or just failing at holding themselves accountable. So, the episode today, we're just going to do a quick rapid fire all about why accountability partners can be your secret weapon. Ben, what's up, buddy? How are you?
I am doing great. And wow, what an awesome, powerful topic to discuss on this podcast. I'm just going to say it right now. Accountability partners and having someone to help hold me accountable has been life changing for me. It really, really has.
And I'll just add to that because if you guys don't know, we're each other's accountability partners for several things in life. But how hard it is, as I said in the intro, how hard it is to find accountability partners. And I just think like if, for example, you or I maybe moved to a different city or something, how hard it would be to find somebody else to kind of fill that spot. So I definitely don't take it for granted and can definitely relate or at least understand why so many people and some of the listeners that sent in questions that were kind of related to this topic today, just why it is frustrating and just something that's rare to come by.
Yeah, when I think of having an accountability partner, I think of having someone there to help share the load, share the discipline, share the focus. When you're younger, or I'm speaking for myself here, at least for me, I wanted to like do all these things on my own and have success on my own. And the reality is that your chances of achieving whatever goal you're trying to achieve, whether it's health, fitness, business, career, whatever it is, you're going to have so much more success and the chances of success by having someone go down the same road and the same path with you and help hold you accountable. And it doesn't mean they're always going to be, going down the exact same path. Sometimes it could be a parent or a coach or a mentor. But in other times, like you'll have someone like in our case, we both go to the gym together every single morning and we actually want to do the same things, have the same behaviors, go on this journey with shared values. And when you have that, and the other thing is, it's not just about, getting the lift in or getting the exercise in. It's not just about that. It's how you're doing it, what time of day, with what intentionality, with what focus, how you're starting your day off. Today I missed my morning workout with you. I still ended up getting into the gym, but it wasn't the same though, because it threw my whole day off. I wasn't as focused. I was playing defense like we talked about on our last episode. So all of that matters, and having an accountability partner now has really allowed me to develop what I would consider a very strong morning routine. I've ripped off the labels that I had of myself that I'm not a morning person. Those are off, they're gone, they're shredded because I am. What I've learned by having an accountability partner is that I can transform myself into anything that I want. I don't have to do it on my own though, because I have my accountability partner there helping hold me accountable. And in our case, doing a lot of that with me.
And if it's something that is important enough to you, so it doesn't have to be exercise, it could be, any goals that you have in life, just areas of your life that you're trying to get better at. Obviously I'm saying this, has to be taken in context, or at least I understand that not everybody is in a position right now maybe to do this, but if you can't find accountability partners on your own for free, just getting over maybe the stigma of understanding it's okay to pay for certain people to be in your life. So just as an example, we have a coach at Armbrust Pro Gym, our good friend and our fitness coach, our inspiration in the mornings to do legs every Thursday, Adam Young, he's our coach. So we pay to have a coach for our fitness. I do weekly therapy, like a therapist on an online thing called BetterHelp, same thing. And I'm paying just to have that extra, ability to get better at that, that part of my life. Or I have the same thing with the group coaching for real estate, just you can find ways to justify the cost if it's important enough to you. Just might mean you have to make other sacrifices, but I've just gotten so much value after starting to do that over the past few years.
Yeah, learning to add, a lot of times when you add something into your life, you need to be willing to let go of something. And a lot of times people will say, I don't have time for this, or I don't have the resources for this, or I can't afford it. What you're really saying is you just don't want to, or
Hmm.
you don't want to let go of that thing that's really holding you back. I don't have money for this coaching class that's $100 a month. Okay, well, what if you stopped watching football for 4 hours every Saturday and Sunday, and stop drinking all that alcohol? How much would that take out of your budget? How much time would that free up? Well, there it is right there. You have to be willing to let go of that piece before you can add this other piece. So the resources usually are there, but you have to be willing to let go of some of those other things. And I share the same sentiments with you. I've learned to kind of cry out for help when I need to. And, I don't want that to sound like a negative thing. What I mean by that is that I also have coaches in other areas of my life as well. When I was going through a divorce, 5 or 6 years ago, I had a relationship coach that I worked with for 2 years. I have the gym coach that you mentioned. I have a parenting coach now, someone who is guiding me and that I'm meeting with on a weekly basis just to become a better parent to my teenage kids. I have someone here at the house at times in the past who has supported me here at the house. You could call him a domestic coach. And so it's learning to add all these people, all these other resources and people into your life that are going to help hold you accountable and help create the life that you want. 5 or 10 years ago, I was terrible at that. I wouldn't ask for help, or I didn't know what to do, and I would just struggle and think I had to do all this stuff on my own, and I just realized I can't.
And, even had friends for like fitness related goals that maybe you have a friend in a different state when you're best friends, but they live, a couple states away. You could
Yeah.
still, you know, make a pact where, hey, we're going to go to the gym still every day and we're going to FaceTime each other when we get there just to say hi for 2 seconds, just to check in with each other that we're actually there. But you can get creative. You can find ways. The issue is people just find excuses to make instead of, you know, figuring out a way to make it happen.
There's only 2 podcasts that I listen to. The Pursuit of Progress, number 1, that's us, and then the other one is the Ed Milet podcast. And when you start to listen to, and that's all that I listen to, and the reason for that is because both of these podcasts are diverse enough where I feel like all of my buckets are getting filled just with incredible wisdom, resources, advice. But when you start to list, when you start kind of going along the lines as far as getting creative, when you start to listen to someone on a regular basis, like I start to think of Ed as my own personal mentor. After listening to all of his podcasts as long as I have, and I feel like he's speaking to me directly. I also just recently downloaded this app called Masterclass. I think I shared that with you. And at this point, there's 300 teachers. And when I say teachers, I'm referring to the best in their field at whatever whatever it is they do. And there are so many resources out there like that. Right now, I'm just listening to Howard Schultz, who's giving a 2-hour presentation on his story, on the lessons that he learned from founding Starbucks. And even though anyone can subscribe and pay for that app, it's like I feel like this is my personal mentor, someone who is speaking to me on a personal level. And that inspires me. It also helps me hold myself accountable.
Yeah, technology is pretty awesome, man. That's just incredible how we have so many more opportunities to find mentors, even if they are halfway across the world. There's just so many free resources out there these days. So
It's
you
so
guys aren't that.
interesting that you say that because, like, on one hand, it's never been easier with the amount of resources that there are. But on the other hand, like for youth and for a lot of Americans, like same is true with the distractions. Like there are so many more distractions now than there ever have. So those that are living serious and being intentional, like the best now are better than they've ever been. The best in their field are the best they've ever been. What's changed is kind of the middle. Like your average American, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Like your average American, over 50% of Americans are overweight. over 70% actually, over 70% of Americans are overweight. Only 32% of Americans are engaged at their job. 85% are not satisfied in one of the three major areas of their life: family, relationships, career, or personal finance. And I think a big reason for that is because all of the distractions that we have now. So be aware of that and use this stuff for good. Because if you're harnessing all of these resources like you're talking about, man, there is no limit. Have you heard that quote by Dana White, founder of the UFC, where he's talking about just being a savage?
Mm.
And it's like I resonate that with that quote so much. And essentially what he's saying, if you're a savage, you are just going to be able, and what he means by that, if you're a hard worker, if you're disciplined, if you're going to grind, if you're willing to put the effort and the sacrifice in, you are going to win. And that's just the reality in 2024. And if you don't give up, like that is going to happen.
So one last thing I was going to share with you guys before we wrap up this rapid fire episode is, if you guys aren't familiar with another similar entrepreneur, motivational speaker, he also has a podcast. His name is Andy Frisella. He has a awesome free program just known as 75 Hard. And this is just another way to get engaged with maybe other people in your community that you maybe don't necessarily work out with right now, as an example, but maybe also they have a similar goal of getting in better shape and improving themselves. Just reaching out on social media. Hey, does anybody want to start a 75 Hard group with me? I'm just finding some community through 75 Hard and doing that as just another challenge, just to really push yourself to grow and build some of these habits, and hopefully habits that are going to last way long after the 75-day challenge.
And what does the 75-day hard consist of? What does that entail?
It's basically, you have these 5 tasks, 5 things that you just have to be accomplishing every single day. If you miss a day, you have to start all the way back over on day 1. So 75 consecutive days without missing anything. You have to do all 5. There's no shortcuts. There's no excuses. There's nothing. You can't have one free day scheduled halfway through. It's got to be 75 consecutive days without any cheating. And the 5 things basically are, and this doesn't sound like it's that hard, really. I mean, it's just do it and get back to me and you guys will understand. But the first one is just drinking a gallon of water a day. The second one is doing 2 workouts, one that's, indoors, 45 minutes for each of them minimum. But then the second one is mandatory, that it has to be an outdoor workout. So if you're starting 75 Hard in December, you're going to have a lot of days where it's blizzard and crummy weather, but you got to get out and do it anyways. No exceptions, no excuses. So again, 2 workouts a day. And then another one is you have to take a selfie. Just sounds kind of goofy, but just taking a progress pic every single day, just so you kind of look back, and you're not going to notice much changing in a short period of time. But if you have that, accounting of the past 75 days, you'll actually be able to start seeing some significant differences. And then the last one is, again, it seems very simple, but just reading 10 pages every single day of a nonfiction motivation or self-growth type book.
And correct me if
doing
I'm
all 5 of
wrong,
those.
but correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe there's a nutrition plan and then no alcohol as well, right?
I don't know why. I guess he has another thing called the power list, which are 5 tasks. So yeah, I guess for 75 Hard, there were 2 others. Yeah, one of them is following a diet. So can vary depending on what your goals are. If you're trying to lose weight, obviously you have to have maybe a specific amount of macronutrients in calories that you can't go above every single day. So you have to really legitimately be, doing something with your diet, not just saying, I'm going to eat healthy. And then, not drinking any alcohol or any substances, not smoking any weed, not drinking any alcohol. And again, no exceptions. If you have a big concert coming up in a month that you've been looking forward to for the last 6 months and you're starting 75 Hard, well, you're going to have to just take on that event, that experience, and do it sober. And that's another part of this, is just kind of building up some, comfort in being uncomfortable, and hopefully just teaching yourself to be able to perform at any given day under any given circumstances.
And you know what? This is a great opportunity to find an accountability partner. If you don't have someone, like, ask, do you want to do this challenge with me? Do you want to do this 75-day hard? it'll be a lot easier to do if you're going through this with someone else. And then it'll give you the opportunity to build a relationship and a stronger connection with someone new.
Yep. You guys have any questions about 75 Hard, feel free to reach out to either of us. Shoot us a DM, just comment on any of our posts. Just if you guys are curious a little bit more about 75 Hard, I'd love to share with you guys a specific episode on Andy Frisella's podcast where he goes through all of this in a lot more depth and detail.
How many years has it been since we did that together? Was that 3 or 4 years ago?
I think it's been at least 3 or 4 years. Yeah, probably 4.
Yeah. But, I really credit you and that challenge. You came to me wanting to do that challenge, and you were first talking to me about it, and I was like, why would I be interested in doing an outdoor workout when it's -17 out, or drinking a gallon of water every day and reading? And I can honestly say that challenge has really changed my life. Never stopped working out twice a day. We did that challenge, and since then, I now do. I exercise twice a day. I'm a daily reader now as well. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect, that I'm reading every single day, or I never miss a day working out. What I am saying though is that these things that I learned in this challenge are now part of my daily habits and how I live my life, things that I value. And it's transformed my life.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome. And it's free.
Yep, there's an
All
app
right,
too,
guys.
right?
Yeah, there's an app you guys can download. So
Okay.
definitely worth checking that out. But more than anything else, guys, I just wanted to do a quick episode all about accountability and hopefully resonate with a few of you guys that have been voicing your frustration and just the challenges you're faced with finding accountability partners. So we'd love to hear what you guys are doing to hopefully find accountability and just find progress in your lives. So make sure you guys, again, shoot us a message, let us know. And looking forward to, as you guys may or may not know, we've got season 2 coming up very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. We're going to have a few changes being made and also have a lot of really engaging guests going to be coming onto the show in season 2. So
Season 2 of The Pursuit of Progress, coming soon.
as always, guys, I'm Adam.
And I'm Ben Adams.
We'll catch you guys next week on the Pursuit of Progress podcast.
Podcast. It's a wrap.
All right, see you guys.